Henry and I had known each other for quite some time, ever since he started working at our company. Although we were not particularly close friends, we socialized and spent time together. Interestingly, before we met, I was already familiar with his wife, as she was friends with my sister. So she asked me to bring her husband to our firm. Henry did not know that I was already in a relationship with his wife, and there was no need for him to know this fact. Nor did my wife bother to inform him of our past relationship. However, the focus of the story is not on her, but on her mother, Miss Johnson. Henry's mother-in-law is an extremely overbearing woman who took a dislike to Henry from the beginning. To her, he was an outsider, and she considered him unworthy of her daughter, despite having once lived in Chicago herself. Upon retiring, she moved to the countryside, which at first brought Henry relief. Unfortunately, the respite was short-lived. Mrs. Johnson began incessantly harassing him and trying to get him to do chores at her home in the village. In short, the situation worsened considerably. In short, she needed help again with the kitchen renovations. Seeking help, Henry turned to me. "Scott, please be a good friend and keep me company at my mother-in-law's house to fulfill her request. I can't handle it myself, and I have no desire to be there. She has become such a bore that I can't stand it any longer." "All right, Henry, I'll help you. However, perhaps she just wants you." I looked at my friend with a chuckle. "Scott, are you kidding me? I'm on the verge of losing my patience with her." "Okay, let's go tomorrow." The next day, Henry and I headed to his mother-in-law's house. We drove quickly through traffic and arrived at her village by 8:00 a.m. After parking the car, we entered the house to greet Henry's favorite mother-in-law. "Good morning, guys. I wasn't expecting your early arrival. Henry, please introduce me to your friend." Henry replied, "This is Scott, and this is my mother-in-law, Miss Johnson." Scott politely replied, "Nice to meet you, Scott. How long have you known Henry? Why hasn't he invited you to visit before?" Scott replied, "We've known each other for quite some time, but just haven't had the opportunity to come here before." She started giving us signs of attention, her eyes glistening with excitement. It was fun to watch. She was an attractive woman, with a nice build and a pretty face, though a little overweight, which only added to her charm. After a short rest, we set out to make repairs. We labored until evening, following the agreed plan. Then we went to the baths, and afterward we sat down at the table. Melissa, that was the name of her mother-in-law, had prepared a delightful treat for us. We enjoyed drinks and appetizers. She sat next to me, keeping her eyes on my body. I deliberately didn't wear a t-shirt as it was hot after the bath. She playfully set my food down and poured alcohol for me. "Scott, let's go fishing. Henry, go by yourself. Let Scott relax and keep me company." I agreed, saying, "Yes, Henry, go alone. Fishing isn't really my thing." Henry drank another bottle of beer and went fishing alone. I knew he was seeing a local girl to relieve the stress of dealing with his mother-in-law, so to speak. It was his own business, but she'd given him a baby, and I couldn't predict how it would all turn out for him. Melissa, slightly tipsy and ready for anything already. "Scott, why don't we spend some time together? What do you say?" I readily replied, "Why not? I'd love to." She took the seat next to me, and we had a glass of wine each. Then she settled on my lap and wrapped her arms around my neck and kissed me softly on the lips. "Scott, do you find me an attractive woman? I'll like you even more when we switch to you." "Yes, absolutely. I've wanted to for a long time." She started caressing my breasts and kissed me again. Her heartbeat was clearly audible. It was pounding in her chest. Her breathing quickened, indicating that she was eager for caresses. "Scott, let's go inside. I can't take it anymore." "Come on, Melissa. I can't take it anymore either." I slapped her lightly, and she hurried into the house. Once inside, we indulged in gentle touching. Melissa was a passionate woman, fully satisfying my desires. After a little rest, We headed to the shower where our fun continued. After pampering ourselves in the shower, we finally went to bed. We were completely exhausted. In the morning, I left for home with Henry. She said goodbye to me with such a loving look that it made me want to come back.